Kate Hardcastle is going to spend a few minutes with us now on BBC Radio Kent. She's a retail analyst. Kate, it's really nice to have you with us. How are you this morning?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, excellent. Do markets, do they have an automatic right to exist still in all of our towns, or do they need to really up their game?
I think it's one of those flip of the coin arguments. What we're losing out of our challenges in our high streets, our market towns, is the lack of community. We're losing the ability to just have a reason to go and be amongst other people. And that, as we know, has created a knock-on effect to an isolation crisis. So do we need to repair, restore a new future for our high streets, for our markets? Absolutely. But the consumer has driven a lot of the change through the choices they're making. And that's no blame at all from me. I've championed consumer rights for so many years now. I want a consumer to be having more transparency with what they're buying, how they're buying, and getting more quality of life. And unfortunately, for every great market you can herald and talk about, there will probably be a handful of markets that just aren't operating to a quality, to a value and standard that the consumer today wants. And that's how I have to face business questions around the world.
Yeah. Okay, so let's pin down, what does the consumer today want? If the market is going to work, what does the consumer demand from that market?
Different demographics, so different ages of people, different populations, different lifestyles require different things. So if you look at a market like Melbourne Market, which I use, it's very much set up for its business users. It actually opens really, really early, 5 a.m, and it trades off the very best of the produce with experts selling that produce to make sure that it's got a better quality offer in goods than any of the supermarkets around it. If you think about the market in France you were talking about, it's probably a beautiful day out. It was idyllic, maybe in the sunshine in a beautiful place. Parking, toilet facilities, accessibility, places for babies to change. You have to drive with the consumer changing to keep any business, and it is a business, going. And with markets, it's a collaboration of many independents, and sometimes they need a really good cheerleader from their local authority to be able to understand what a really good job would look like.
Okay, this is great. So we're talking about people here as well. So a cheerleader in the local authority, a great market manager, and the stallholders have got to bring something to the table as well. How important are the people?
Well, it's really hard to do. You can't just herd, a load of sheep around without a vision. So you've got to make sure that people understand what you're trying to deliver as an overall market rather than lots of separate entities, and how are you going to do that. And it does require the market managers, the local authorities to collaborate and say, okay, what do people around here want and how do we deliver it? And dare I even say it, actually bringing the public into it and making them part of it. Most people are like your last caller. They actually do want a future, but it's not for them in a very time-pressured world where they're all doing a tremendous amount of work just to keep going to try and work out what the future and the vision of a market should be. It's up for them to actually give information on what they want, and that makes it easy to deliver it. So it is, I know it's a bit of a boring thing, but strategy and development and working out how you can deliver something and what the competition is.
Tell me about the most exciting market you've ever been to, anywhere in the world.
Well, I used to work in China a lot. So the Chinese markets are a part of the way of life, and they have very vibrant, really, really beautiful in colours, and have a complete mix of offer from your pet hamster through to coats, through to different food preparation. I like theatre in markets. I like the idea that we still want to enjoy the trader mentality. I think your last caller called it banter, but I call it trading. The idea to barter, because actually psychologically, if we feel we're getting a bargain and we've actually created that ourselves, we actually get a real boost from it. And it's something that's lacking in retail. So I would like to see them fresher, newer, exciting, definitely delivering to the consumer, but actually doing that because they've earned that rather than just being gifted that.
Great to talk to you. Kate, thank you very much indeed. Kate Hardcastle with some cold hard facts about what's going to keep markets thriving and relevant in 2020.